I didn't expect to like Hush as much as I did. In fact, I kind of loved it. I knew the premise going in that it was like a home invasion movie, and the protagonist was deaf; she couldn't hear anything. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty interesting. And then I loaded up the film and I saw the Blumhouse logo, and I was like, oh no, because Blumhouse, they have like a shotgun style to making films, and a lot of them, especially the horror films, like turn out pretty shitty. I think next year they have like Insidious 7 and Paranormal Activity 12 coming out or some bullshit like that. But I ended up being really pleasantly surprised. And it's because it turns out this film was directed and written by the same guy that directed and wrote Oculus that came out a couple of years ago, starring What's Her Face from Doctor Who. And that film was really well done. That Oculus is a really smart movie with a smart protagonist and an interesting setup and lots of fun little twists and turns. And Hush is really no different. Um, the protagonist is smart. She's a writer of like presumably like mystery or fiction novels or something. So she's always thinking about the way things could possibly turn out. And she talks about how she has this voice in her head that she bounces ideas off of, and that comes into play later on with some cool like stylistic stuff. But she's not like this helpless um, object just exists to be scared and for the audience to be a proxy through. She's an actual character, which is great. On the opposite side of that, you have the villain. He's just this strange dude who presumably has done this a few times before. At one point, she gets a hold of his crossbows, and there's all these notches on the crossbow, like tally marks, like previous kills he's done, and that's a great little bit of visual storytelling. And there's a lot of that in this film. Which one thing that they included for this film that I was actually really impressed by was that the main character, Maddie, I think her name's Maddie. I'm gonna call her Maddie. But she can't hear anything, but she can feel vibrations, which I feel like is left out a lot in other films and pieces of media that have deaf people in them, because that's used quite a bit in the film. And being in a dark area and being deaf in this house with all this wood, it makes perfect sense. And I always really like it when filmmakers and writers include stuff like that, because it does actually reflect the natural world. Like, I can think of in the first season of The Walking Dead, uh, the main guy, not Frank Grimes, that's a Simpsons character. Um, the sheriff dude, he's in a tank with the Zambambo, and he pulls out his giant fuck off revolver and he shoots the zombie in the head. And I was like, I was watching the scene and I was thinking, man, that's gonna be really fucking loud. Like, that, you would never want to do that because it would make you deaf. And then in the show, like, the audio cuts out and there's all this ringing, and they went so far to include an actual physical phenomenon like that. And little stuff like that really really endears me to a film or TV show or what have you. And there's a lot of great little tense scenes throughout the film where she uses her powers is a stupid word, but for lack of a better term, she uses her predilection to sense vibrations to escape or monitor the invader. And the invader's a really interesting dude because he starts out as just a guy in a mask, like a weird flat white Michael Myers-y mask. Soon enough, he loses the mask, and it's done. The way he takes the mask off is really interesting because the main lady Maddie, she's trying to escape, and she writes a message on her window with lipstick about, "I haven't seen your face. I won't tell anyone. Just leave." And like, he just takes his mask off. He's like, "Now you've seen my face." It's really creepy and really chilling, and gives you a lot of insight into this killer who has like there's zero like exposition. You don't learn about his tragic backstory or any of that bullshit. He's just a monster, and that's all he needs to be. But he's not completely without personality, because you can see the way he operates and the way he does things. he talks to the cat, and then like he talks to a corpse later on. That gives you little insights into like the way his mind works without completely humanizing him, which is nice. Because I feel like a lot of times in slasher movies they go a little too far in personalizing the monster or the villain somehow, and they always do end up doing a shitty, clumsy job of it. And that doesn't happen in Hush. Around halfway into the film, maybe a little later, it sort of slides from a straight up horror home invasion movie into a survival film. And it's a one on one kind of battle of the wits thing between Maddie and uh, the invader. And you can really cheer for her. Like, I found myself like yelling at the TV. It's like, just stab the fucker in the eye, and stuff like that. Like really rooting for her when she's fighting this dude and trying to escape. And I don't know. I think that's just a real testament to how well this movie's put together, and like the pacing and the setting and the score all really add into that in meaningful ways. And I really can't recommend this film enough because it's really, really a diamond in the rough.